Hi, it's Maxine. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I'm here with a book review of Open Water by Caleb Azumah Nelson. I'm really excited to discuss this book with you and all of its themes, so if you'd like to hear more, please stay tuned. Okay, so Open Water is a fairly new book. It came out this year, April 2021. It's contemporary fiction. So this book is written by Caleb Azumah Nelson. He is from Southeast London. This is his debut novel, and he's a fairly young writer, basically in his mid-20s, and really is trailblazing it with this novel. I've seen a lot of buzz around it, and for this to be his first book and for it to hit home for so many different types of readers, I think it's really special, and I think he's definitely an author to watch as he develops. What I also like about Caleb is that he draws inspiration from two of my favorite writers, Zadie Smith and Yaa Gyasi. He references some stuff about Zadie Smith in the book as well, so it's just really awesome to see that crossover of British writers, Black British writers also, and to see those connections of my worlds colliding. Usually I like to describe a book in my own words, but Yaa Gyasi did such a great job. I'm gonna read you her description. Open Water is tender poetry, a love song to Black art and thought, an exploration of intimacy and vulnerability between two young artists learning to be soft with each other in a world that hardens against Black people. I truly feel like that quote encapsulates this book, and that's why I love it so much. I feel like when it comes to Black art, Black expression, and even Black narratives that we see in television and popular culture in general, a lot of people miss the mark when it comes to describing our experiences and also just the variances of Black culture. There's so many different types of Black people. There's so many different types of ways we express love. And also I feel like there's not a lot of great Black love stories out there. There's a handful in television and film, but again, I feel like it's not very diverse. So for this book to do such a great job of tackling that, I really applaud Caleb, and this is why this book is one of my most recommended books this year, and probably even beyond that, because it's short, but it really gets the point of Blackness in this world when we're trying to express ourselves, be vulnerable to those around us, whether it be romantic interests or people in our lives. And it's just a great book.
So often when we have Black narratives, they're out of our hands, or we're seen in a way that perhaps is not the correct way. I don't think there's one correct way, but a lot of the time I feel like media misses the mark. And so it was an opportunity for me to really say, okay, so this is how Black I feel, and perhaps it will resonate with you too.
I think it's also really powerful that Caleb is a Black man writing about Black love, vulnerability, grief, all these emotional things that I feel like are usually kept for women. These are women topics traditionally, but it's been really awesome to read a male's perspective and to see that our experiences are a lot more similar than we think. When we talk about love, I feel like there's always a divide between women are emotional and men are stoic and they can't process emotion, but this book does a great job of showing several different male characters trying to define love for themselves and also vulnerability, and how they're navigating that and the different challenges they come across, whether it be grieving or intimacy or just one-on-one relationships with friends as well. So in this book, there's two characters. There's a guy who's from London, and there's a woman who is also from London, I think. She is a dancer, he's a photographer. They bond over their art and just honestly, mind, body, soul. They just have this immediate connection. The characters remain unnamed throughout the story, so you never know what their names are. But the woman The way they meet is really interesting because the guy meets the woman, but she's in a relationship with his friend. But he already knows he's attracted to her, and they just kind of navigate their friendship, even though they both know they're really attracted to each other, but she's in a relationship. She ends up ending that relationship, not because of the guy, but kind of because of the guy, you know. And the guy ends up losing that friendship with the other guy because, I mean, who wouldn't feel some type of way? Like, you basically stole my girl from me. So yeah, it was just interesting how that love story starts. Like, it wasn't a perfect, like, we were on the same train and we locked eyes. It was messy, and that's real life. One of the main themes that really stuck out to me was this idea of being seen, like an all-encompassing love. The female character, time and time again, would mention that, and how she hadn't really experienced that until she met the lead male character. And I think that's so special. As a 25-year-old Black woman, I often find myself frustrated, and even like all the Black female friends in my life agree that we're all frustrated when it comes to dating and the lack of emotional vulnerability from the people we get to know. Like, this day and age is so like desensitized to showing how they feel. Like, you don't want to catch feelings, or the guy doesn't want to seem like a simp, or you got to keep a rotation of people because you never know like who's really for you. And we're all exhausted. It's also just hard in general to tell someone how you really feel and to just be open to that and not know what the other person's thinking. Also, the state of dating as someone in their 20s, even 30s and 40s, it's like we're told to go to online dating, but it's such a low stakes platform, and it really requires both parties to put in their best effort, which is hard when there's no common ground or common thread that has brought you guys to like each other. It's literally just visual, and maybe they said something that you agree with or identify with on their profile, but that can only go so far when you're just messaging someone. So I feel like a lot of us are losing that ability to be vulnerable with a partner because of this guardedness we have towards ourselves, and also just like the fickle behaviors that we've adopted to protect ourselves and to shield ourselves from the uncertainty of knowing someone's real intentions. It was really nice to read how both characters attempted to express themselves openly, and sometimes they failed at that, but more often than not, they were both putting in so much effort to be with each other and to make each other feel like a priority and to feel special. I'm such a sucker for a good love story, and I feel like more and more I've been gravitating to those types of books. So if you're into that at all, I suggest you read this book. Since the main character is a guy, there's also a great deal of discussion of Black men and vulnerability and masculinity and how men process their emotions. The main character goes through a lot in the story, like from grieving to family problems to work issues to just like mental health struggles, and I think his narrative is really special. There's also a bit about police brutality, and fitting the description was a big moment in that book. Just like the fear that Black men carry with them as they walk the streets, no matter, I mean, this is in Southeast London, but I know this case to be true in America as well, that Black men carry this fear with them that like, I could lose my life today for no reason at all because I loosely fit a description of, or I look dangerous just because of the color of my skin. I think that was really important to include because when you're talking about a love story or any type of relationship, you have to address what characters go through in their daily lives and how that affects how they express themselves. And this fear of his and how that plays out in his friendships really is a key factor in what contributes to his relationship with the female protagonist, and I won't give away too much, but it all comes together in such a powerful way. Before I finish this review, I want to read a short passage that kind of talks about the title, and I feel like it's just a great lens into what this book is about and how it's written. It is like the summer has been one long night and you have just woken up. It is like you both dived into the open water, but you have resurfaced with her elsewhere. It is like you formed a joint only to fracture, only to break. It is an ache you have not known and do not know how to name. It is terrifying, and yet you knew what you were getting into. You know that to love is both to swim and to drown. You know to love is to be a whole, partial, a joint, a fracture, a heart, a bone. It is to bleed and heal. It is to be in the world honest. It is to place someone next to your beating heart in the absolute darkness of your inner and trust they will hold you close. To love is to trust. To trust is to have faith. How else are you meant to love? You knew what you were getting into, but you take the underground, returning home with no certainty of when you would see her next. It is terrifying. So that's a little snippet of the book. That passage is really powerful because the guy just said goodbye to the girl. She's going to Dublin for a period of time. I think it was for school or something. So they're doing this long distance relationship. That's why at the end he's like, I don't know when I'll see her again. Because they didn't like carve out all the details of prioritizing each other and seeing each other in person. But that passage about love and the nuance of it is so good and so real, and that's how the whole vibe of the book is. I feel like from page 1 he doesn't like play around when it comes to like getting into the story and the details and nuance of everything. I highly recommend you read this book. It's one of my favorites I've read this year. Probably will be one of my favorites in general. And I also heard he's working on his next novel as we speak. So I'll definitely be looking out for that in the next few years or so. I don't know when it'll come out, but hopefully sooner than later. And yeah, let me know if you read it. Please comment below if you do. Let me know your thoughts. If you've already read this book, comment below as well, and we can discuss what you thought of the book. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.